If this Labour government was to deliver what it said it was going to do, we would have a different economic settlement in Britain and we'd have improved living standards. The fact that it's being slow on some of this stuff, it's no wonder people are drifting away.
Remember, it's the unions that founded the Labour Party. If Keir thinks he can have a Labour Party without the union involvement, engagement, affiliation, I think he's facing the prospect of huge defeat.
They get dragged kicking and screaming to do the right thing. And I think they are taking for granted that working people and workers and communities that have been Labour for years are going to stay with them. They won't.
If you want people to support you, you have got to deal with working class issues. You've got to provide decent housing, good jobs, high living standards, good education, all of the stuff that people need in their lives.
And we've got a Labour government, we want to see them deliver for working people.
For Keir Starmer not to be here, it feels a little bit like a slap in the face.
We're affiliated to the Labour Party. I'm the chair of the affiliated trade unions, and we knew this first term in government after what happened in the last 15 years was going to be difficult. I believe we need to give the government time to do the things they need to do. There are days where they do some stunning stuff, like the first week they took 400,000 children out of poverty. When they did stuff around the minimum wage, they took another 1.25 million people to a better place. If the Human Rights Bill comes in, 3 million people who currently don't have sick pay get it overnight. Then on the other side, PIP and winter fuel allowance, we were arguing against it.
So you'd say it's better to be in the Labour Party fighting than it is to be outside of it?
Always believe so. I mean, never quote Churchill very often, but he said it, one day in power is worth 1,000 in opposition.
I mean, Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister, he usually would appear at the TUC Congress. He has sent his Education Secretary here instead. Do you think that shows that Starmer is disinterested in unions?
If he is disinterested, he's making a huge mistake, because these are the people, when times get tough, these are the people who always were with us and backing us up. And if you start alienating them or you turn your back on them, you're undermining the very basis of our movement. Remember, it's the unions that founded the Labour Party.
The Labour Party, the clue's in the name. They really should be here listening to people. And it's great. We had Ellie Reeves here yesterday and Bridget Phillipson today. But I think we're just over a year into a new Labour government, which a lot of people in this hall worked very hard for and have been working for 14 years. And for Keir Starmer not to be here, it feels a little bit like a slap in the face.
They've got to tick the box, haven't they? And that's what they're doing. They're ticking the box. And I don't think they get as much money as they used to in the past, and the big industry provides a lot of cash as well. But it's follow the money, and the labour and trade union movement is a bit bureaucratised. So there's some of them in the TU movement may be a bit worried about losing pathways to careers as Labour MPs.
You have this obsessive sort of triangulation to the point of nothingness sometimes in the Labour government in Westminster, and this talk about what normal working people are like. Well, yeah, here they are from sectors to across. So I think the Labour government is doing some good things, but just being better than the Tories really isn't good enough.
The Labour Party seems to be more conservative, more looking out for the rich and the more powerful, where the trade unions are actually there for the normal person.
Keir Starmer isn't at this year's Congress. He does normally come. Do you think that shows a sign of disrespect?
It is, because he's a middle-class person. He's not actually a working class. He's actually middle class. So, he's not going to demonstrate, loyalty to the working class if he's middle class.
If Keir thinks he can have a Labour Party without the union involvement, engagement, affiliation, I think he's facing the prospect of huge defeat.
Of course, Labour, just before the election, took a large swathe of donations from big business, which is rather unusual for the Labour Party, or certainly was unusual compared to the couple of years that preceded that. Do you think that has influenced Keir Starmer in where he looks toward for support?
Well, it might do. My view is the political party should be funded by its members and funded by its affiliated organisations, and the trade union donations are the most open and transparent forms of donations from political movements, if you like, as well as our individual members. Once you start taking money from corporations or rich individuals, there's no such thing as a free lunch.
I don't particularly like the way that there's been a bit of a purge of even the centre left or the soft left, whatever you want to call it. And I hope Labour's not taking a turn to the right. So we need to get this employment rights bill delivered. And just as importantly, the secondary stuff that goes with that, the regulations that are written, have got to deliver a working class agenda, to make it better in the world of work, but also the ability for the trade unions to negotiate and organise workers, which will ultimately make them better off and make the country better.
On the Employment Rights Bill, there is a risk that it could be watered down now that those key architects have been removed from Cabinet. Do you think that would bode well with the government if they were to water down those rights?
I don't think they'll be forgiven, but certainly by the trade unions and in the long term by working people. I don't think that's going to happen. I think the right-wing media and business is trying to say that there's a wobble going on, more or less, in government. What we heard from Bridget Phillipson today and from others, Ed Miliband last night at a TUC event, that's not going to happen. It's going to go through as it's written. They're going to reject the Lords' amendments from the Tories and Liberals and others, and that the bill will be delivered the way it's meant to be delivered, the way it was written and discussed with the unions. But there's a lot of stuff to do after that, right through to 2027, about it getting actually delivered in all the departments and all the sectors. So we've got to remain vigilant, as unions always say.
Sector bargaining, for example, taken out. The extension of collective bargaining, pretty much taken out. Better recognition rights, watered down. So all of those things together, it's already watered down. If it gets watered down any further, you might as well just forget it and just not have it at all, because it won't be worth the paper it's written on.
I mean, you have put forward a motion before about disaffiliating from the party. Do you think this is would this be the last straw for you? Would this be the reason why you would push to disaffiliate?
Yeah, so 2 years ago, actually, pretty much, we had a what's called a rules conference, and we voted to remain affiliated for the reason that they would be in government, we hoped, to be able to have conversations. They would go in and be Labour. We didn't expect to get everything, but we expected to recognise it as Labour in some way, shape or form. What's happened now is at our policy conference, they have started the process to say we need to look at the relationship, and then we would need to go down that process. Obviously, members decide. We're a democratic organisation. What I think is not the important thing, it's what my members think that's important. But I can tell you, if that vote was taken today, we would be disaffiliating, because I know how angry our members are about what's happening with Labour. It's unrecognisable. I don't know who are they talking on behalf of. Who are they talking on behalf of? What are they for? They get dragged kicking and screaming to do the right thing. I think they are overcorrecting with business. I think they are worried that business is going to come out against them. That's the view that I think that they've taken. And I think they are taking for granted that working people and workers and communities that have been Labour for years are going to stay with them. They won't.
Just want to ask you about the growing support around the country for reform. I was just at their conference actually a couple of days ago, and I was struck by how many former trade unionists or current trade unionists there were at that conference. I mean, how do you get that support back onto the left?
Well, I think the place for anybody who's thinking of voting for reform is to be in their trade union. I don't care what your political outlook is. As long as you're not a complete lunatic, you should be in your trade union if you're going to work. So I don't really care about that. The fact of the matter is people have lost faith in politics, in the political establishment we've got. That's why people are looking for something different. That's why you're seeing all these political developments.
Can I ask you about how you think workers are faring under this Labour government? Do you think life has gotten better for people?
No, it hasn't. I mean, I represent the unit of people with benefit problems, and it's killing us. It's dangerous. You know, people are literally going snowed under.
When you're representing those people, when you heard the news that they were planning these PIP payment cuts, how did you receive that news?
It was terrible. The most, the worst people to cut back.
If we've got politicians who are doing a job in Parliament for working people, they'll get the support of them. So we'll have to see where things go.
Dave, you've got quite a lot of influence over the next couple of days as the Deputy Labour leadership contest gets underway. Have you been looking at the candidates? Is there anyone who's particularly striking to you?
I think the first thing we sort of thought was that the rules of the contest really are not going to enable or allow a proper discussion within the movement. And I think that's obviously been done deliberately to ensure that there's not really a change in direction.
I mean, I think Bridget Phillipson is really clever. She's got some really interesting ideas. I look forward to hearing her pitch. But ultimately, we can't spend sort of 4 months focusing on really the non-job of deputy leader. We should maybe be asking ourselves why everyone we're talking about, say with the exception of Bridget, who is from a working class background, everyone tends to be more of the same. A lot of MPs based in the south of England, very few people who've come up, like Angela Rayner did, through the union movement. But then I've got to ask, I look around the PLP, and obviously going to university is a thing we're very much sort of in support of, but the PLP isn't really reflecting the party membership, it's not reflecting the country. So it's saying why it shouldn't be, obviously it's a huge issue that the deputy leader leaves, but it shouldn't be as big an issue because we shouldn't have so few people who've really represented working class people in the way Angela did, in a way that spoke to people. She felt quite normal, and I know that people hated that, but like, sorry, like vaping on a pedalo or whatever it was, yeah, like it's a lot more relatable than I've spent sort of 17 years running about in a suit in Westminster.
I'm going to be looking at their track voting record over a period of time. I'm going to be looking at what they did on certain votes. I'm going to be looking at what they've said about Birmingham City Council workers. I'm going to be asking them what they're going to do about what's happening for Birmingham City Council workers. And we won't be voting for anybody that does not put those workers at the heart of what they are going to force through if they go into that position. So, you know, I'm waiting to see. We haven't put our backing behind anybody at the moment because I think this is more important than who's perceived to be this or who's perceived to be that. I want to know what they're actually going to do because we are bereft of people doing things at the moment.
You change people's lives by the ability to do stuff, and you need to be empowered to do that. At this moment in time, we have an opportunity. Let's not waste it.